So Bitcoin is teeing up at around 70K after pinging 72,000 early on today. But the news is all about ETH, and this massive move that we've just seen. And we are looking at ETH ecosystem plays here. There's some big movers that we have seen in the last 24 hours. Are these things going to continue now with this big drive? So I've got a couple of plays for you guys that I think are going to move much bigger than ETH over the next while. And then we're also going to deal with the current 𝗟𝗜𝗙𝗙 situation. There was a hack, then they returned the money. Now it's pumping. Did you buy it? So we're going to look at this 𝗟𝗚𝗙 situation. We got so much to talk about. Banter Bubbles is green. Ray is dressed in green as well. Let's get right into this. You don't see this often. I mean, Pepe 30%. We spoke about that yesterday, but Lido 32% after telling Ray that I thought it was an absolute shitcoin, this Lido situation. And then it goes and fires 30% there for us. Let me just deal with the sound here in the background. I've got a big noise coming out here. 1 second. Okay, there we go. Problem solved. Okay, Lido 30% up, cooking. Now this is an ETH ecosystem play. We've got Arbitrum 23%, and then ETH. I mean, we can't ignore it. 22% after all that noise and all that news yesterday. So let's just look what is going on here. Firstly, let's deal with Bitcoin and just see where we are. Even though everyone wants to talk about ETH, we've got to see where we are with the big dog, the king. And you can see we've just pinged this range high at 72K. So that was a nice little move, but expected a little rejection area. So if you were long BTC, that would have been your little TP zone. That's where you're looking just to shave something off and de-risk. And right now we see Bitcoin drifting down lower on the 4 hour and moving into some of our nice juicy zones that we like to look for reactions on and little bounces. So area number 1 for Bitcoin that I'm watching here, 69,800. Let's see if we get a little bounce into this zone. Could be a little fun. Could be a bit of a scalp here. And then a little bit lower down, let's all watch 68,200. Okay, we've got a 618 here in play. That was from this low that we pulled on early on Monday. So 68,200 is another little area. And then really, if they're going to send us dark, we're looking at about 66 here on this 4 hour chart. So 66K is the ultimate low there. We don't want to see much lower than that. That'll just kill this trend that you can see is rising. I see Cunning George says FDM just bounced off the sniper zone. Yes, the market is cooking. The market is green. I hope you guys are making tons of money out there. And let's just look at the current situation. So ETH yesterday gained the entire market cap of Solana. I posted this earlier today. It's unreal that I've been ETH broing myself for so long. And finally, this ETH bro has come out and delivered for us. And the king is back. And, those that faded it and got negative about it, you're probably paying the price now by not being in it and watching the size of this move. And let's not forget, Ray yesterday actually called this move. Ray's getting his hair done at the moment. Where are you, bro? What's going on?
I'm about to do these braids shortly. But yeah, guys, watch for the
Ray said yesterday. Ray said, what is Max Payne? Max Payne's got to be up. And after the show finished, all these tweets started dropping. And all this news started coming out on ETH. So 𝗟𝗘𝗖𝗛𝗙𝗢𝗓 started this whole move yesterday. He dropped this tweet and then it started going viral. And then all this news started coming out. And basically people had decided that this thing was going to get approved. So he said it's 75% chance. And remember, yesterday during the show, we were looking at 11% chance of approval. So things turned very quickly there with ETH, with all these rumors floating around. And you can see Nate's tweet a little bit lower. He says the SEC decision deadline this week on spot ETFs. SEC must approve both the 19B4s, blah, 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 all the fundamental story. But basically, these guys stoked the fire and got everyone pumping. And Matthew Highland says ETH is looking more, the ETH ETF is looking more likely now. And he had an interesting view. He said political pressure is now mounting for an ETF approval as the anti-crypto stance from Biden. Remember, we spoke about this the other day. We said Trump is going pro-crypto. If Biden's going negative crypto, he's going to lose all these voters. So suddenly, the political side of things is cooking up. Remember, we have elections coming this year. So you can read his tweet, obviously, at your leisure. But he's made a very interesting point here. And Biden needs to catch a little bit of momentum here with the votes coming. And by letting these things start going through, maybe that's going to help the political situation. And James Seyfarth says, this came in just now. He says, Grayscale just filed an updated 19B4 for their ETH mini trust. We should see a bunch of these coming today. So documents are flowing and all these types of things. But let's not get super euphoric here. And the reason being, we saw similar stuff happening with Bitcoin leading into the Bitcoin ETF. I remember some kind of news that came out and Bitcoin pumped. And then they said, oh no, well, it's not actually happening yet. And Bitcoin dumped about another 10 or 15%. And then we rode into that ETF. Are they teeing us up for another flush out? Are they teeing us up for another potential move? We just need to be a little bit careful here, knowing that this thing is not actually approved yet, but everything is pumping like it is. So all it takes is one false tweet or one bad news that's going to wreck this market, send it down 10 or 15%, clean up all the late longers that jumped in the last 24 hours, and then send this thing higher. So just a little warning while we're carrying on today, just be careful of a scenario like this. It's going to take one tweet to ruin all this work that has been done on some of these charts. Now, before we jump into ETH and the big stuff, let's not forget NVIDIA earnings are coming tomorrow. This is a massive thing for things like render, even for things like AR even could be moving on this NVIDIA situation. So don't forget that render is something you need to be watching now. NVIDIA earnings tomorrow, it's going to have an impact on the S&P. It's going to have an impact on the market in general, I would say. So focus on this NVIDIA situation. Here's the current render chart for those of you that have been trading render with the NVIDIA earnings in mind. Yesterday, we were looking at render. We watched it, trend break, beautiful little trend break on render. I was saying to you guys, let's look for that trend break. Let's look for this retest and make sure we have support. And this is render on the 4 hour. Just look at the absolute perfection here. They sent this thing up. They came back. They retested horizontals and they've sent it up again. Now, this is a typical alt situation that we are looking for when we get to these scenarios, when we're putting pressure on those horizontals. We want to pop them, but we want to break them cleanly and then retest that horizontal and get those entries. So render, so far so good. If you manage to get this little setup, you've got a small little move, a little 6%er there, and now the real test is going to be, is it going to hold this 10.6 region to 10.8? Is it going to hold this leading into NVIDIA tomorrow? And if that news is bullish, render is going to rip and AI tokens are going to rip. So with that in mind, I've kept my render trade open here on Bybit, and I've kept that GRT trade open on Bybit that I showed you guys yesterday. So that's my current situation, and obviously BTC, Tower. So I'm loaded up here on these AI tokens, and you can see they are starting to get a little bit of traction here. And remember, the downside is if NVIDIA news isn't that bullish, maybe these AI tokens are going to feel a little bit of pressure, but this is how I've positioned myself leading into that. Let's see if this is going to play out nicely. We'll obviously keep you guys updated. Okay, BTC drifting into our zone, but remember, when Bitcoin is dumping like this, or not necessarily dumping, the fun thing that you can watch is dominance. And look how this dominance on the 4 hour is dropping. This is telling us these alts don't care that Bitcoin is dropping. These alts are saying whatever. Dominance is coming down. The alts, everyone's being interested in ETH and all these alts at the moment. And as we watch this dominance drop, we just need to bear in mind one thing here. We are moving into our major weekly trend. And the last time we hit this major weekly trend, we had a huge dominance move. So is that going to tie up? Is that going to tee itself up with some kind of ETH delay maybe, and maybe push dominance back up? Who knows if this is going to happen? But what I can say is watch this major trend here. Watch this horizontal. If we do get some kind of vicious bounce here, you could see dominance really start spiking up. So we are now at the lower end of a big dominance move, pushing onto major support here. So what do we do on support? You often play that support as if it's going to bounce. You play the support until it breaks. And right now we do have support here. So look out for a bounce here on dominance. Look out for maybe a little bit of pressure on some of these altcoins if it does bounce. And then zoom out. Again, the big picture here is the alt season play that everybody talks about. Are we going to get alt season? Well, the big move is going to be when we eventually break down and lose this rising trend. That's going to really give us a big move that we can start playing with. So lots of things to be excited about, but we also just need to be cautious and understand what's in front of us right now. And we still don't have that confirmed approval yet. Okay. Rec Capital, he's telling us, well, he's teed up these altcoins beautifully. He's saying, welcome to Q2 altcoin hype cycle. And for those of you that remember this chart, I've brought this up a couple of times before, but he's basically showing us we are slap bang in the middle now at the lows where the altcoin hype cycle begins. So we are now at a moment, according to Rec Capital, where these alts are going to start ripping. Is that going to tie in with loss of that rising trend on the weekly? Well, it remains to be seen, but things are teeing up, and we know this chart has worked very well in the past, and no reason why it won't be working again going forward. Let me see, where's all my people here? Let's see. Are you guys killing it out there? Let's see. Kevin O'Reilly here. He says, Let's get 1,000 likes. Guys, remember, if you're enjoying the content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button. Remember, we want to see how many new people are going to pitch up here. If you hit the likes early in the show, then we can get new visitors and new guests to the show. So make sure you hit those likes, because I've got a gala situation that I'm going to share with you guys as well. And we need to fire up those likes. The gala is right towards the end of my list here. If you start pumping those likes for me, Uncle Ray will tell me we'll bring out gala as well, because there is some potential opportunity here on gala for you guys. Bruce says, is that a beauty salon behind Ray? It is indeed. The man's about to get his braids done. It is really happening. Chris says he was killing it with gala. He was. Chris, hang in there with gala. I think I've got some news for you. I think it's going to be okay for you guys. Let's see. And look, Onka says he got wrecked on that gala hack. Look, I was looking at the chart, and they flushed everybody short and long. So there was a lot of pain and suffering. This is a tweet I dropped today as well. Follow me on Twitter at the Lord of Entry. I said ETH beta plays I like. And that was optimism. After telling you guys, I thought it was an absolute shitcoin. Now that ETH is pumping, we have to look at it again. Arbitrum, obviously. Matic, we're wiping off the dust here, Ray. We're bringing off...
Matic is back, huh?
No,
welcome back, Matic.
Matic has to be back. We've got Lido. What did they do? 30% pump. ENS we're going to look at. Peppy we're going to look at. That thing ripped for us. Didn't that just pump? And we've got Maker and Pendle. So we're going to look through some of those now. And here's a little tweet from 𝗕𝗘𝗕𝗕𝗓. And he's basically saying the TVL, okay, the top Ethereum layer 2 projects by total value locked. Number 1 and 2 is optimism, and that's why optimism and Arbitrum, and that's why we need to look at those that tie in with ETH. And look at Zara says, will melt faces, and we can't ignore it. They're the top 2 TVLs there on the ETH ecosystem, so we're going to deal with those guys. And Jose's got a special request here, and I really should just be firing this thing off. I mean, it absolutely goes without saying that we have to fire this thing up. Okay, so what has ETH done? And look, it surprised everybody. If you weren't surprised by this move, well, fuck, I don't know. And we were expecting a nice ETH pump, but I don't know if I was expecting 20% in a couple of hours there. And let's just look at the size of this move here. So we were looking at ETH just under here, under this 50-day MA. And I was saying, once we blow this 50-day MA, we're looking for a big push, because this 50 day is always massive resistance. But when we break through it, we get nice moves. And ETH was more than nice to us here, and gave us this 22%. So what do we do now if you are trading ETH? Well, number 1, you can watch your key support. Okay, so key support zone number 1 now is this previous high that we've taken out from the 8th of April. So let's watch 3,700. That's got to be your current support play. Realistically, that's a support area that you're looking at. If you're a late longer like me, I'm going to show you. I've got an ETH long running at the moment. That is your main support now, 3.7. That's what you're going to be watching if you jumped into this one late. And remember, at some point, okay, if there's bad news or whatever the story is, at some point, they need to come and clean this candle out. Now, we don't know how deep they're going to go. We don't know how deep they're going to take it. But we can't be too euphoric here with candles like that. We've got to understand at some point, they want to come and just collect a little bit of that juice down there. Ray, you're breaking up a little bit there. I think your net is not working very well. I've got a black picture there with you. And okay, so big support you want to watch now for E37. Okay, then it's basically looks like an absolute free fall down to about 3,370 if we start losing that level. So if you jumped into ETH yesterday, anywhere in this region that I was talking about, just leave it. You are totally fine. Okay, even the next pullback on ETH, you're going to be okay. You've got major support at 3,165. So the next red day that you see on ETH is probably an opportunity to add to your ETH position. I'm talking to the guys that got in under this 3,100 level. So the next big red day or the next big pullback on ETH, make sure you add to your positions if you want to grow that size. And you're going to have 2 areas to play with, 3,370, and then your massive zone here, 3,1 to 3,160 is going to be huge support for the ETH traders. So hang in there. If you see a red day, don't panic. If things are going to stay bullish, we should see ETH holding these areas. Okay, Arbitrum now, this is now number 1 and 2 of the TVL on the ETH ecosystem, and Arbitrum is a layer 2, and it's a big play on ETH strength. So we should see these things start catching up. Let ETH do its thing. Once ETH starts consolidating, then we're going to see some real fireworks on some of these guys. So right now, what do you do if you are trading Arbitrum? Well, we are at horizontal resistance. So you need to exercise a little bit of caution here. You can see what's going on. But what is key for me here, number one, we've broken the 50-day MA. Okay, so that's a huge move there for us. We've got the 50-day MA here as support now, 1.156. Watch that area. That could be a nice little base to work from. And number two, you've got a little bit lower down here, a 1.115. Okay, so both of these areas, any weakness here, you want to be looking to buy weakness on any of these into these zones. And if they're going to sweat you even into that area, I would strongly suggest here, based on this current bullish ETH situation, any red days, any dips you see on these things, they need to be for buying here. If ETH is going to tee itself up here, these are the zones you want to be grabbing these beta plays on ETH. So watch your 50-day MA. Number one, 1.15. Number two, you want to grab some more, 1.11. Any weakness into that is good. And then really, if they really want to end you, 1.04. That's going to be your next buy zone, but there's going to be some huge upside targets here for Arbitrum. So you want to make sure you start building your position. And if this thing kicks on, your first move is going to be quite quick. We're going to take out that candle there. So that should be about a 12%er. That should be taken out relatively quickly there on the way up. So you've got a 12%er. And then you've got the 200-day MA that's sitting a little bit higher than that. But once we clear that 200-day MA, this thing is going to absolutely rip. So we got 20% to the 200-day MA. And then after that, I would say there's some big targets ahead that we can start hunting. And number one, we can just grab our 1.618 fib and just get a guide as to where this thing could potentially go. And the first reasonable zone here, and this is if it bounces to a 618 on some bullish vibes here, you're looking at about 1.7, 1.73 on Arbitrum. So anything up to about a 40%er from these current range highs could play out. So watch that thing. And Paul says, Dylan, tell us about Casper. I'm down. How can you be down on Casper? We've got Casper. I'm going to deal with that today as well for you guys. So don't you worry. We'll look at that shortly. Okay. So Arbitrum, you've got to get this one. You've got to buy this one on weakness now. If there's an opportunity, get this thing on weakness, buy on those solid zones. You've got your areas, set the alarms on your charts. And remember, if you're buying now into resistance, you're taking a little bit more risk. You're buying into an area where a lot of people would have TP'd, where a lot of people are taking some profits. So watch these areas here, these resistance zones. This is where you get rejection. So just play it safe. And don't get wrecked now in an opportunity here for a bull market. So don't over leverage here. Just watch these zones and, ladder into these things nice and slowly. Okay, the next banger here for you guys, optimism. Ray, I can't believe I'm dealing with optimism again. And this thing is going to be an absolute ripper now. Now that ETH is back in the party, we got to talk about this thing. So optimism targets, what are we looking at? Very easy play here. You're going to get your 1.618 fib. Okay, you can see I'm just pulling that one down there, and we're going to mark our first target zone. So number one, our 382's already been pinged here for optimism. So you are at TP1. TP2 is a little bit higher at about 3.7. So there's another potential move here on optimism for you guys. And from these, the current position here, it's another 27% potentially in play that I'm looking at for optimism. But how do we get there? What does that look like? And, how do we play this current situation? So you guys have seen these setups from me multiple times. And we often get a situation where we get these little squeezes as we push higher into a nice horizontal, and we get a little rising trend. And we often get this bullish little situation where it squeezes and then pinches up and then really accelerates. So that is my worst case scenario, and that's my worst case bullish scenario here for optimism. So right now for optimism, your lowest level here on a proper bleed out, if they flush you now with ETH in the next 24 hours, 2.57. Okay, that's going to be a buy zone for you, 2.57. And the next higher region that is of interest, 2.74. So both of these are bullish areas. They're just going to look a little bit different. Okay, so scenario one would be just a little tap and go on the 382. So you'd look for something along these lines, bang, and then a move higher up. And scenario number two is this move into the trend and 618, and we're looking for that guy over there. So both of these are bullish areas, nothing to be concerned about. If you get a sweat out into that zone, no issues there. Remember, if you are longing now, you are longing late. Okay, and there's a good chance that these guys want to just come out and clean up some of the riffraff lower down on some of these candles and then send this thing higher. So that is the current game plan here on optimism that I would look for. And what do you do if this thing starts popping off without you? Let's say you're waiting for this little entry. How do you deal with this? Well, you can see what we've got here. We've got a rejection here on the 200-day moving average. This is a big resistance zone. Once we pop that, we can turn a little bit bullish. Look what happened last time we popped it. We started holding it as support, but the market turned bearish. Now, if we pop this thing again, we're going to look for support on this 200-day MA at around about the 3 level, and then we're going to look for this nice big push higher up. So right now you're at resistance. If you start sticking your head through this 200-day MA, you can start sniffing around. You just want to make sure that you got support at around about 3, and then that should start the move for you and send this thing higher. And then remember, you just drag your fibs up, you raise your fibs, you watch your key fibs, the 382, the 618, you tie them in with horizontals, and then you'll create your nice little support base there to play with. Okay, who wants some Matic? Who's ready? Who's ready for the dustiest shitcoin in history? And I mean, Matic. Bro, we're doing it. Here comes Matic. Okay, Matic's got a very similar look to Arbitrum. Matic's got a very similar look to Optimism. And what's so similar? They've all pumped into horizontal resistance on this ETH move, okay? And it's perfectly acceptable now that we get some kind of pullback or some kind of drawdown on some of these while they come and collect some of the late longs and things like that. So as you can see here, I've prepped this current Matic situation for you. So step 1 is to actually get an entry here for Matic. And if this thing's going to stay bullish, I would say your first area that you want to be watching on Matic has got to be this 0.72 region. So watch this area very closely. Bullish move would be something along those lines into that area, and then a pump higher. But the real fun is going to happen for Matic when we start blowing this current resistance. And I think these moves are going to be quick and decisive. And we're going to see, we've seen a similar candle now on some of these charts that I've shown you. I'd like to see these candles wiped out pretty quickly once we blow these areas. So right now, Matic fighting the 50-day moving average here. Let's push this thing up. Let's break this current horizontal region at 0.76. Let's break that. Let's get some support at 0.76. Then we've got a free ride up to 0.86, and that's the 200-day moving average that is coming in. So that is going to be your next TP zone for Matic. Remember, if you are trading, you can trade this level by level. You don't have to hold this thing for eternity. You can also just look at it step by step, area by area, because we know already, just by looking at these charts, the next pump from the market, if the market pushes up, we know that we're going to get a rejection from Matic at the 200-day moving average. So you don't have to set your sights too high. The next phase is going to be a 12% move. So that is what you're looking for. If you're looking for step by step, 200-day MA is going to be in your way. And let's say they give us that perfect pullback. What does the trade actually look like? It looks like a dip into the 382. Your stop loss is going to be about 2.5 to 3%. You could probably play around with something like that, and you're going to look for that big target up ahead. So that's going to be a 20% move there for you at least on Matic.
Hold on. They don't appreciate 20% moves. Are you guys going to smash the life or what? What's going on?
Guys, hit the like. It's come. There's 1,674 here. If you like the content, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. There's banging content coming here for you guys. Ray, what are we doing with Gala? We don't have our likes yet. So guys, just come. Hit those likes. I'll bring you this Gala situation. Another play that I was talking about earlier today on Twitter was ENS, another option for you guys, and Metis. So let's look at ENS, and we know Vitalik loves this guy, this ENS, and whenever there's ETH strength, this thing seems to pump. And as you can see, it's lived up to its name, and it's now ripped through the 50-day MA and the 200-day MA. So we know step 1, that was a major area for us to break through. We now know that this is major support for us on ENS. So if you grab this thing under that region, you literally have nothing to worry about now. You've got a massive support base that you can play with here on any pullbacks. But step number 1, what would I look for here if I was trading ENS? Well, you can see what I've done here. I've broken it into nice little ranges for you guys and nice little areas so you can understand your zones that you could trade in. And right now we are in the second phase. So we are looking for this move up to 22.8. That's going to be a reasonable target for you. And what do we do on a pullback? Well, on a pullback, don't have any fear. On a pullback, you're looking for buys at about 18.4, 18.5. Anywhere in this region is buy zone number 1 for you. That could be a trade setup coming out right now. Well, not right now, on a pullback for you guys with an upside of about 22% here. on ENS. If they do dip it lower, that's another opportunity that you can take advantage of. And it's another high conviction zone. And these are strong reaction areas that you want to play with. So we do have two potential trades here for you on ENS. Just let it do its thing here and let it settle down. It would be very unusual to not have some kind of pullback on these type of candles here. So what is Will Smith the like button? Can somebody tell me what this means?
It's smack it down. You used to smack it down.
I know Michael Jackson the like button. That's when you beat it. But I've never heard.
What kind of Michael Jackson are you thinking about? Hold on, man. It's early.
No, bro. Okay, resistance that you want to pay attention to for ENS. Now we know it's this 22.5 to 22.9 region, and right now, if you want to play this game, you need to wait for the pullback here on ENS, or you need to wait for this thing to pop higher and form some kind of support for you. So another situation that you could look for on ENS, if you're looking for something here, is to get some kind of flag here, some kind of consolidation in this region. Let's say it starts dancing around this area for a day or two. Let's see if we get this little flag break here on ENS. So that's another option that you guys can look at. Ray, you're killing me. Okay, let's see who else is here in the chat. I see Michelle like that joke. William likes Wojak. I see that thing. That thing's been flying today. What else we got? Benjamin's looking for FTM, and Yassine says the Trump pump. Now, guys, remember these political memes are coming out, and you've got the Bowden, you've got Trump. Don't forget, obviously, you've got Tucker, which we've always been talking about. That guy is going to be interviewing all these people. So make sure you are watching Tucker as well. That is a big play for you. And don't forget, my new favorite is that Nancy Pelosi. And we actually need to pull that one up. So that thing's been doing pretty well at the moment. And I think a great election play for you guys. And we're going to see how they play out. But I like it. Okay, Pendle. Another nice ETH play for you guys. I had this on my show, I think about a week ago. We had this pendle situation. And another example for you, look what happens when we blow this 50-day moving average. Big mover here once we start cracking these areas. So it's always nice. When we pop these, we know these are nice support markers that we can play with. These are great areas that we can deal with. So right now, pendle, what do we do if you are looking for something on pendle? How do you deal with this now? Well, you need to just step back and let things play out a little bit. Look at this juicy support zone now on pendle that we have. So if the market does give you a little pullback, look at this opportunity here on pendle. You've got a 382 fib, you've got horizontals, and you've got the 50-day moving average teed up for you at 5.46. So don't get lost in this euphoric feeling. Just look, where's my big support zone? Where's my high conviction area? Let's see if the market turns bearish. Okay, let's see. They drop a tweet, things fall over, they delay the ETF, things fall over. Okay, you could get a situation here where these things take a breath and we start moving lower. So watch 5.46, big zone that you want to pay attention to. That is huge. And right now, this would be considered a resistance area. So if you're buying this situation, okay, understand, especially the leverage traders, if you are buying these situations, you've got a long way down, okay, to a reasonable pullback area. Okay, you've got a 15% move down to what could be considered a reasonable pullback zone. So the best bet you want to do here, if you're trying to snag entries, is you want to zoom in on lower time frames, and you're going to be looking for these little type of flag breaks that try and then push it higher through these zones. So you need to be dialing in a little bit. I'll give you a little demonstration here. Let's look at the 1 hour. And let's try and clean this guy up a little bit. So right now you can see we don't have much structure here at these levels. We need this to play out a little bit. So pendle on the 1 hour, for example, if you are looking for scalps, how would I do this? Well, number one, I would pull a fib from this low. You can see this low on Sunday. This is Sunday, the 19th of May. I'd pull a fib here if I was trading these 1 hour candles, and I'd start sniffing around for potential entry zones on pendle. So number one would be this 382 little scalper zone here. So we'd look at 5.75. That's an area to pay attention to. And then we've got this nice juicy zone that you know of now, this 50-day MA and this 618. So we know we've got two big regions here for pendle, both of these for scalper perspective, reasonable little zones where we can get these moves on these 1 hours. And let's see if this thing starts popping off. Look at the highs, okay? 6.47. Watch that area closely. If we start printing a new high, so let's just say this thing pops up. Okay, the minute that thing pops up, you're going to mark this as a potential support support base for you, and you're going to try and buy any moves down back onto that region for support. So you can long that support. Once you've cracked that, you can take your longs on that area. Obviously, there's a risk involved with that, but it's safer than longing a long green candle. You want to wait for that support to be confirmed first. So number one, let it pop higher here. Let's get some kind of support base for you, and then you can take that one on. Okay, Peppy, what a banger this was. So I actually closed my Peppy trade earlier today. This move was just too big to not take advantage of. And we spoke about this guy yesterday, just before ETH took off. And we had a massive move here on this Peppy. It's now all-time highs and 43%. If you guys are making 43% moves on some of your trades, I highly recommend that you TP some of them. Obviously, these things can run more. They can do another 20. They can do another 40%. And all these types of things. Remember, our Peppy target is actually a little bit higher. It's at 0.015 as a potential target, but a 40% pump on leverage, generally you want to take advantage of that and maybe just bank something there. So play a little bit safe. What do you do now if you're trading Peppy? Well, number one, you've got a great support base that you can play around with. You've got a great support zone that you can look at here. So number one here, 0.000108. Big support now for Peppy. If you get a dip into this region, it's respected these horizontals the whole time. No reason why it shouldn't at least try and respect this horizontal again if there's a little pullback. So if we do get some kind of weakness here, look for a buy into this region, 107, something along those lines, some kind of push off that zone, and then you should be cooking. So that is how I would play it. I'm out of this Peppy situation at the moment. New entries for me lower down. Ray, are you trading me coins yet, bro? Are you trading me?
Not at all. Not at all.
Right, guys, just tell Ray that he's missing out here on a lot of this action. Okay, let's look at
somebody send me some meme coins. Send me some.
Bro, the ticker is Tuka. It's Nancy Pelosi. You want to get this the election vibe going as well. It has to be. And guys, don't forget, there's a couple of ways that you can take advantage of this GUMMY situation. So don't forget, we've got 9 days left for the GUMMY airdrop. Okay, we've got 15 million GUMMY airdrops coming to you guys, and you got 9 days left to take advantage. It's $2 million. Okay, all you need to do is be signed up on this Bybit link below. I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can get a GUMMY airdrop. So number one, you sign up to this Bybit link below, you get $100. All you need to do is deposit $100, trade $500, and they give you $100 on this Bybit account, and then you can take part in the GUMMY airdrop. The alternate way you can do it is to use 𝗕𝗓𝗓. Now look under the show description here, the second one from the top. 𝗕𝗓𝗓, $1 million in GUMMY airdrop to 𝗕𝗓𝗓 network users. Okay, all you need to do is use the 𝗕𝗓𝗓 link below. Okay, so click on the link below. Here's 𝗕𝗓𝗓. Okay, all you need to do is start switching Sol out and playing around on 𝗕𝗓𝗓. And they said, yeah, swap from Solana to other change and farm more GUMMY airdrop exclusively for 𝗕𝗓𝗓 users. So it's as simple as that. Put Sol in there, swap it around, churn it around, do these things, and farm your GUMMY airdrop. So there's 2 ways to get free GUMMY tokens here. Bybit and on 𝗕𝗓𝗓. It's right here for you. The link is in the description. Take advantage of this. Oh, I see the GUMMY guys in the chats are coming out here. Full force here with some hashtag gummies. Yes, guys, it's as simple as that. Okay, it's really as simple as that. Okay, Ray, do we have our likage? Are we ready for some Gala?
Yeah, we are. Actually, they're good with the like.
Who wants to know about the Gala story? Okay, so Rodolfo actually gave us a nice little solution, a nice little answer for those of you who were concerned about Gala, who didn't know what was going on. And basically, it was exploited for $200 million. Okay, it was a hack. I mean, exploited is a nice way of saying some fucker hacked this thing and basically stole the money. Okay, but now what has transpired? Gala had a 20% drop in price, but now we've seen a few interesting things happen because number one, we had DWF Labs bought 25 million Gala on an open market after the hack. So what did they do? They actually saved the day. They saved the price. And then there's an unconfirmed tweet floating around saying that the hacker, the exploiter, sent the money back. Okay, so it seems like this thing has been resolved. So generally, the situation, I mean, look at this candle. Look what these guys did here. But generally, when you get a hack on a situation like this and it gets resolved, the price tends to recover relatively quickly. And for me, a hack is often an opportunity, provided you believe in the project and the fundamentals are still good. And a hack is generally an opportunity to buy. But look what these guys did to this candle. I mean, this was an absolute, what do we call this thing, Ray? It looks like something out of Star Wars. What is it? A Darth Maul candle or whatever they call this thing. But basically, they
It's called the death candle. The death candle.
It's absolute pain. If you were long or short on Gummy with a healthy stop, I'm talking even a few X's here, leverage, you got absolutely rinsed out up and you got rinsed out down, and it was an absolute mess. But just a key learning here for people that, that like charts, okay? Look at the 50-day moving average, look at the 200-day moving average, and look how the dump and the pump respected these areas. If this isn't
they also
enough,
call that the trap zone too. They also call it the trap zone. They also call that the trap zone when you're in between both. You should be careful.
So if this isn't enough for you to get the 50-day MA on your chart and the 200-day MA on your chart, I don't know what is. But these are key areas for you. You can see resistance and support playing out just using these two massive moving averages. So get these on your charts, use it in confluence with whatever your trading system is. Just add these to your charts just to give you that extra boost so you know that you get results in these areas. Okay, so what do we do with 𝗟𝗓? Well, I've bought 𝗟𝗓 now on this hack, and I'm obviously looking for bigger things. So if this market's going to stay bullish, I expect 𝗟𝗓 to recover. I expect obviously gaming at some point is going to get its little narrative, and it's going to get its little move. So if you are interested in 𝗟𝗓, well, there is a potential trade brewing for you. Number one, this was the one I dropped in Sniper Club, and at the moment it doesn't look like we're going to get there. Even with that hack news, they didn't send us down into that region. So we got to pay attention now. What is our new support marker? What can we play with? So number one, I would say for you guys, watch this nice horizontal here for 𝗟𝗓. So your new support that you want to pay attention to is got to be 0.0387. Okay, watch that region, and a loss of that 200-day MA is going to tell me that 𝗟𝗓 is now potentially turning bearish, and then maybe we want to be exiting. So I would put a stop under this 200-day MA. So if we start losing that 200-day moving average, it means it's falling over, it's turning bearish, time to step back, time to cut our positions. You don't really want to sit around when you are losing major moving averages here, especially considering we have held this moving average since, when was this? February this year. So we've come back and we've tapped it once and we've tapped it twice. Okay, so now if we start losing it, 𝗟𝗓 is obviously going to look a little bit sad. We don't want to see that. And so right now, what is the plan? Any deeper pullbacks for you for 𝗟𝗓? Any moves into 0.039, anything into that area here? Look for buys in this region. What do we do if it starts popping up? Well, easy game here. You can see your 50-day moving average is just ahead of you over here. So if we do get a push now from 𝗟𝗓, look for that rejection again at the 50-day MA, but we're going to look for some kind of bullish buy or bullish support here on the next push, and then we're going to ride that thing a little bit higher. So the strategy there is once this thing pushes up, you can then take advantage. You can pull your fibs to where it rejects from, and then you're going to look for that bullish support buy on the retest. Okay, so sometimes you need to wait for these trades to pop first before you come back and then start buying them. So just be patient. If it pops, let it come back and test that 382. Remember, I showed you on render. This was a great example. We popped through, and within a couple of minutes, they came back and they tested that 382, and I would expect a very similar result on something like 𝗟𝗓 if we do break that trend. So that is the current strategy for 𝗟𝗓. And where can it go? Well, a bullish market and a falling dominance. We know these gaming tokens, even if you think 𝗟𝗓 is fundamentally a shitty gaming project or whatever, we know a rising tide lifts all boats. And when the gaming narrative kicks in, 𝗟𝗓 is going to have some big targets for you guys to watch. And, number one, you're looking at about a 20% move to that first horizontal. Number two, you've got about a 60% on 𝗟𝗓 coming to about 0.07. So there could be a nice bigger picture trade here as well. If this market's going to stay bullish, this is a spot type trade that you're going to be looking at. And there could be a nice 65% there for you guys. So a couple of ways to play 𝗟𝗓, and just, again, be patient. Don't ape in. Don't go massive leverage and these type of things. If this market's going to turn bullish for you, you're going to have so many opportunities. Just don't think that every time it pumps, it's your only opportunity, because that's where you get caught up in leverage, and that's where you start start getting rinsed up, down, and you start panicking. So remember, after every pump that we have in these markets, there's always a period where we get our consolidation, we get our pullbacks to the zones. When you see it pumping, you sometimes think, oh, well, it's not going to go back there and I must panic buy. But I can tell you, 9 times out of 10, it comes back to a nice support at some point. All you need to do is be a little bit patient and make sure you have some cash ready for when you hit those areas. Don't waste your cash getting rinsed while it's sending you higher, and just play it safe. Okay, I've got a trade update for you on CAS, and we saw questions there on CAS. So here's my current CAS situation. This is on weeks. So those of you that have been watching me with weeks, you can grab the link in the description as well. Great trading exchange. There's no KYC on weeks, and they're offering you a 20% sign-up bonus. So take advantage. The clock is ticking on that offer. They're not going to leave this around forever. For you guys, remember, as this exchange grows, they're going to obviously stop giving 20% sign-up bonuses. So make sure you get in now, you get in early, and you take advantage of it on weeks. And so here's the current cash situation. My current average entry 011779. So let's just look at the chart, and I'll explain to you what I've done here. So those of you remember, I was trading cash from these lows here off that 618. We had a nice little move, and it took off well. But I wasn't ready to add to the position. I was telling you that I was waiting for CAS to break this huge 200-day MA and 50-day moving average before I added to that position. So now after it started breaking the 200-day MA, you can see my position is now bigger on that CAS trade. I added to that position. So my stance on the current CAS situation is it's going to hold the 50-day MA and it's going to hold the 200-day MA. So that's the view I've taken. That's what my bias has said. So I've structured this thing to have my average entry under this key support now. So I'm floating somewhere in this region here is my average entry. So if they do bleed us down, this is for buying more, this is for adding. And those of you that aren't in a trade, any weakness on CAS, that's going to be a buy zone for you that you're going to be looking for. So any dips into 0.122 looks like a great buy zone if they're going to bleed you out. But right now, you can see what's going on. CAS is trying to break into the next range. Okay, so we just need to be a little bit patient here. You can see what's happened. Every time we've pumped into this area, we've had a rejection, pump, rejection. Okay, here's another example, pump, rejection into that zone. Is this time different? Well, we're going to have to wait and see. And let's pull out some fibbage here quickly. Let's grip some science quickly and see if we can get some kind of short-term level here for you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a fib from this low on the 15th of May. I'm going to look for that fib, and I want to see what tie-in I have there with CAS. And the best I can give you here for support, 0.1267. Okay, so it might dance around in this area. You can use this if you're scalping, 0.13. Use that area, 0.13, as potential support, but don't be surprised if they wick you down to about 0.126. Okay, 0.126. These are sort of scalper levels that you're watching. And just bear in mind, the big dog, the main zone has got to be the 50-day, 200-day, and that horizontal at 0.122 to 0.125. Watch those areas. That's got to be your big support zone that you want to watch. Glenn says, Dylan, driving that Alpha like a sports car. Guys, I used to have one of those Alpha Spiders, and all that thing did was put me in the garage and spent more time in the garage getting fixed than anything. So I'm glad I'm delivering this type of Alpha and not delivering my Alpha to the garage. It's much better that way. Ray, have you ever driven one of those things? No, Ray's gone. Okay, guys, you've got everything you need here. You've got your key levels. Watch the news. Stay in touch with Twitter. Let's see if this approval is going to come out. And look out, if they delay this thing, we could see that little flush out that nobody wants to see. And maybe we are feeling a little bit too euphoric here. And we need to I actually ran a poll. Let's just check this poll quickly. Let me show you this. Poll. I see we equally weighted again. We've got ETF for this week. And it says, no, it's just a test and be careful. Half of you agree with that. And the other half say, well, pump it. And look, interesting mix. I mean, last time we had this BTC ETF approval, I think we had people too bullish at the time, and that thing fell over. So let's just exercise caution here. We've had a massive move on ETH. Don't get caught up in it. Remember, there's going to be another opportunity for you guys if this thing dips lower. And these dips, or the next dip, for me, is an opportunity. It might be the opportunity of a massive move for you guys. So just be patient and let's get it. Let's get it together. Okay, I'm done. Later. I'm still here. Still here.